Hello, friends. It is just a joy to be back with you today. We are going to spend some time talking about family and stuff. We're trying something a little bit different with the audio. So I'm going to hope that this is just going to sound just a little bit better. We'll just keep tweaking things as we keep getting together so that you guys really get the best experience. While it's really great, the content that we're able to talk about, the questions we're able to kind of share and go through together, I also want to make sure you have an enjoyable experience. I know personally, it's really hard to listen to something that's just not good audio quality. And so I'm trying to refine that for you guys to get it to a place where you can just really enjoy listening to it. And even if you miss some episodes, make sure you're subscribed to the group. So that's, Live in Color group on Facebook. And then you can always go back and listen to things later. And, there'll be things in your life too that maybe you're like, you know what, I think Jessie was talking about that like way back. And you can go back and find it and re-listen. And we really want that to be a wonderful experience, a joyful experience. So let's just keep refining and getting it to where we really want it to be. If you guys have any feedback or thoughts, even just on the kind of the way that it lays out or how we flow with our conversations, let me know that as well. This is like this isn't the Jessie show. I mean, technically it's because I'm here, but this is like for all of us, right? So let's do this together. So one of the things I think about as we're coming up on holidays, and so Thanksgiving is a holiday that is celebrated in the United States to just commemorate the time when the Pilgrims and the Native Americans were able to come together in unity and really share a meal together, and it prevented a lot of people from dying, and I know that we're grateful for that, and we're grateful for so many other things too. And, I think family and coming together in unity with people, whether they're your biological family or whether you've kind of like just taken them in and this has become your family, that there's a really special bond there. And I think that's something to be really thankful for. And, there's other holidays coming as well. And, we're going to be gathering together, right? And so gathering is a wonderful experience if you love the people that you're gathering with. And it's a difficult experience if you have some challenges with the people you're gathering with. It's sad when you hear somebody talk about how, they're trying to avoid going to their family gatherings because there's this one family member or there's this dynamic that has never been addressed because somebody got offended, 45 years ago, and those are realities. Like that's really what is going on in some families. And trying to understand that is fine, but trying to address that is really the step that needs to be taken. And so, as we're thinking about, what that looks like and how that works in different families, there's something to consider, and that's the colors. That's what we talk about each time we come on together. And so for anybody who is kind of new, maybe this is your first time, the colors are basically an analogy for how we're wired to think and how we're wired to perceive the world around us, and our needs and our strengths, our joys. All of that is tied into our temperament, which is the innate wiring of how we were designed to think. And so the colors that we use are blue, green, orange, and gold. And so each one of these colors, while we're all a spectrum, nobody's a single color, we're going to lead with one of those colors, and it's going to drive how we think, what we do. And it's interesting because it's not so much about just what your colors are. That's really important because it's going to help you. And I think there's a lot of different, there's Myers-Briggs and there's all these different, assessments that can help you understand yourself, which is great. A lot of them are hard to remember once you actually take it. You're like, yeah, something about INTJs and, but what we do with the colors, it's a colors methodology. It really helps you break it down to 4 simple colors. If you can understand those 4 colors, not only can you understand yourself, but then you can understand others. It's really all about practical application, As myself, I'm very into, if it makes sense, let's do it. If it doesn't make sense, then why are we wasting time on it, right? And so I love to know interesting information, but if I can't apply it, it's like kind of a wasted time, right? And so I really want to help everybody apply this because it is transformational. It does make a difference and it does bring restoration. And so, when we talk about the family dynamic, if you can understand what colors your family members are, then there may be a dynamic there that is simply misunderstandings. And I want to tell you about this one lady. So I won't tell you her real name. We'll call her Candy. Okay. And so Candy was in one of my workshops, and she was very gold, so very structured. Has to have a schedule. Plays by the rules. Very orderly, because that's what golds do. Inside they need that. They need that structure. They need that order. And so I encourage everybody to share those aha moments, those moments when all of a sudden it clicks, and everybody's like, okay, I see why this person in my life is like this, or why I do this. And in her aha moment, Candy shared that she had a cousin who they hadn't invited each other to get together in almost 30 years. 30 years. Why? Well, it turns out Candy was gold and her cousin was orange. That's it. That is the only reason why they hadn't invited each other. What happened was Candy would invite her cousin to go on a trip. Hey, we're planning this trip. We're going to be going. It's going to be next year. Her cousin would be like, I don't even know if I'll be alive in a year. Like, I'll let you know. Well, to Candy, that was like, okay, well, you don't want to go. So she tried a couple times, and that's kind of how that response was. So she finally said, okay, she doesn't want to go. I'll stop inviting her. Well, then her cousin would be like, hey, we're going on a trip. We're going to be doing this. We're going like next month or in a couple weeks. Because oranges, they fly by the seat of their pants. They're the non-planners, right? They're the ones that are like, hey, let me just live life to the fullest because I don't know if I'll be alive in the next year, right? So that's how like oranges think. And so because Candy was being invited without enough time to plan, without enough time to construct and make this stable arrangement, she figured her cousin doesn't want her to go because otherwise she would give her enough time to plan. So there is this misunderstanding, a deep personal misunderstanding, which is where most of these offenses come from, that her cousin didn't want to spend time with her. So she thought her cousin was arranging these situations to make it so that she had to say no, which of course was not the case. So in that moment, in that workshop, Candy came to a place of forgiveness, a place of understanding and forgiveness that was then able to spur reconciliation. She was able to reach out to her cousin after that event and make amends after 30 years of thinking that, you know what, this is a broken relationship that can't be healed. And I just want to encourage you with that story because we all have little stories. We're all offended by somebody at some point in our lives. That's just human nature, right? If you've never been offended, then like you're amazing because it's always about the interpretation of the intent. While some people truly mean to offend, most people don't. And so what it kind of boils down to is like understanding like, where's this person coming from? What is their intent, right? Because if their intent has no malice, is not intended to offend, then perhaps it's just an understanding of complete differences. Maybe you're at opposite ends of the spectrum. And, there are times when people truly offend. And that is a piece of it as well. I mean, I think every family has different dynamics. And I'm very, very blessed in my family, I feel, because I have a lot of dynamics. I have an amazing sister who she and I are on not the same color spectrum, but we understand each other. And so somehow it just works. And, I'm able to talk to her. And she's also learned the colors, which is great because it helps us really kind of dive into that dynamic when maybe we don't see things the same way. We're kind of able to talk through the color side of things, which is really cool. I'll share a little bit more about my family. So I have a grandmother who I really never kind of connected with. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I actually had my grandmother take the colors assessment. And it turns out she's green. Well, guess what? I'm green too. And so the reason we never connected is because I always had this expectation of who my grandmother was going to be and how she was going to act. connect. And I was looking for this warm, fuzzy, grandmothery type that I hear about from other people that bakes the cookies and wants to love on the great grandkids. And I mean, my grandmother loves her great grandkids, but it's a different, like it's a different feeling. It's a green feeling. Greens are not the, extra fuzzy lovey-doveys. And if you've, been with us a little while, we've been talking about this, then you've probably picked up on that. And if you're green, you know that. And so once I realized who my grandmother was, we had an instant connection. Only the reason we didn't prior to that is because I was expecting something that wasn't what I should have been expecting based on who we are designed to be, based on who she is designed to be. And so if we have unrealistic expectations, which of course we talked about the very first time we got together, we're setting ourselves up to not understand people and to get offended. And so I'll tell you, my grandmother and I have an amazing, amazing relationship now. And the only thing that we did different was we understood each other's colors. Wow, right? That literally brought transformation. And I can't tell you how many other people's lives have been affected and transformed in their relationships with their family simply by understanding each other's colors. So, as you're getting together with your family members, I want you to try to take some of what you've learned about the colors so far, and I want you to start to say, okay, for these people that I'm getting along great, why? Why are we getting along great? Are we connecting on one of our colors? Do we just have common interest? Is it just love? Because that's possible too. And then for those people that maybe you're like, man, I just struggle when I'm with this person, try to understand them. Say, what colors are they? Because once you understand what their colors are, you can understand the perspective they're coming with. And maybe you still don't click, and that's okay, right? But at least you'll understand where they're coming from. There are family members that I still don't click with, and that's okay, And there are other family members that I love dearly, even though, oh my gosh, we get on each other's nerves, right? And that's okay. That's life, right? That's being human. So, embrace the people that are in your life. Unfortunately, there's times when we don't have people in our lives, and those are really difficult times. And so if you're out here and you're listening and maybe you don't have people in your lives, and you've had a hard time building relationships, or you've lost a lot of the people that you love, and you don't really know how to reconnect with other people, reach out, because there are actually things that we can, I can walk you through, and techniques and stuff to meet people, to start to build your people group again. It's hard being alone, and especially during the holidays. And so, reach out. There are people that want to hear from you, even if you don't even think about it. There's a lady the other day who was saying, do you ever miss those colleagues that maybe you worked with a long time ago, and you just loved those relationships and you just miss them? So I responded, I said, reach out to them, connect with them. They would be delighted to hear from you, because if you have fond memories of them, they probably have fond memories of you too. And it's never too late to reconnect with people. You would think, oh no, gosh, it's been 15 years, it's been 20 years, they won't even remember me. Well, if you remember them, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Well, they don't remember you, right? And then maybe you build a new friendship from scratch, or nothing happens, and that's okay. But if you connected with them once, there's something there. There's something to build on. There's something for you to start to reconnect with. It's amazing. We are so insecure about connecting with people, thinking they're not going to receive us, right? And so if we stop worrying about whether or not they're going to receive us, and just say, you know what, I'm just going to connect, because if that connection doesn't go anywhere, that's okay. I didn't lose anything, because I didn't have it anyway. But if I gained something, wow, that's really special. I had heard this one story, and I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but we've got imagine this, the table around Thanksgiving, right? It's a long time ago. And there was this family dynamic going on where, well, they gathered, but they weren't together, if you know what I mean. They were not sharing in joy. And so somebody reached for the last item of one of the things, and somebody from the other side of the table reached over with a fork right into the person's hand. Right into the person's hand. Had to go to the hospital. I was like, what? That exists. That actually happens. That can't happen, guys. Seriously, if you've got family dynamics that are making it uncomfortable or even to the extent of miserable to be together. Like, change can happen, and it can start right here with you, even if you're not part of the direct like lineage of that issue. You bringing understanding can actually completely transform your entire family dynamic in those places. It's really, really wonderful to be able to come in and share time together when people can enjoy each other's company. It's hard if it feels like a chore. But let's transfer, like, change just a little bit and say, okay, now what about those simple things, right? Even beyond just like the actual like personality conflicts, right? What about those things that you've got the one person who's like always rushing around, doesn't seem like they can ever sit down, and then somebody else is just frustrated because the person doesn't ever want to sit down, right? And if that feels like I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you exactly, because it might be you, but I'm really talking about, like, this is something that I know I've done before. I know lots of other people in my life have done before. And I want you to, if you feel like that that might be you, or if you know somebody that's doing that and that's bothering you, look at it for a minute to say, well, what's the cause? What's the root of why, right? And so I, at parties, used to always be rushing around, making sure everything was good, making sure everybody was good. During gatherings, I'd always be the last one up. And as a mom, well, I'm still always last one up. My food's cold because that's what moms get, right? But making intentional time to be involved with the family, to be with the family, even if that's just a moment and you're sitting there with the moment, be fully engaged. Be fully engaged during that moment, right? And then if you have to go and do something else, that's fine. It's great. It's okay to leave things for a little while. It's okay. Sometimes people just need to feel like you're present. And that simple thing of being present can be more than all the tasks that need to get done. And a neat example of this, which I didn't even plan on bringing up, but it just fits so perfect right here. So there's two people from the time of Jesus, Mary and Martha. They're sisters, okay? And so Martha was preparing meal for a bunch of people that were at her home. And she was trying to, like, get it all ready, set the table, do everything. And of course, anybody who's ever, served for a bunch of people, that's a lot of stuff to do. And her sister was sitting on the floor listening to Jesus talk. And Martha came in and she says, talking to Jesus, can you please, like, clearly I have so much to do and she's just sitting here. Can you just, like, tell her to come help me? And of course, the logical thing is that, oh yeah, why are you just sitting here when your sister needs so much help? But that's not what Jesus said. He said, Martha, you're so busy with so many things. He didn't say that aren't important, but there was an implied thing there that those things don't really, like, yes, they're kind of like they need to be done, but she's choosing the thing that is most important, and that's not going to be taken away from her. And what it just kind of reinforces is that sometimes, we're so busy doing all the tasks, making sure that every little thing is taken care of, that, if that pot sits there for 20 more minutes, doesn't really matter. But, like, that 20 minutes with your family could be something that lasts forever, and just kind of remembering that and not stressing yourself out. Now, of course, I say that gently because for anybody who's gold or blue, it's easy to get stressed out with the things that need to get done. And just saying, hey, don't worry about it. I just bless you in this because I understand people have done that to you a lot, and that's not something you can do. You can't just turn off your worry. Like, you have this in you. The blues have it in to serve. It's this idea that I have to serve. I have to make sure everybody's taken care of. Just make sure that in that space, while you're doing that, you take time out to just be. Just be with the ones that you love. And then for the golds, it's the tasks, right? All these things have to get done. And if they don't get done, I feel like I haven't checked my boxes, right? And that's very frustrating. But I implore you to just take a moment and say, you know what? I'm going to let my worries sit on the counter, that this is not done for a minute, and I'm going to go be with my family for a minute. I'm going to go just be present. And I know that, like, for golds, like, being a people person, it's not really you anyway, but just take that little bit of time and just just be with them, because it's going to make a difference. It's going to make memories. It's going to impact people's hearts in positive ways. So this is kind of just hopefully sharing a little bit that maybe you can take and, use and enjoy your time with family more this year than maybe you've ever done in the past. And I'd love to take, questions. I know that we're out of time for today, and I appreciate those who have been on, and your feedback of, how this is true in your family. And so I love you all. And so until next time, we meet again.